Welcome everyone to another episode of Spotlight on the Board. Today we have a very special member with us today. We have a brand new board member. We have Gina Martin Adams joining us from New York. Hi Gina, good morning.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, we're thrilled to have you. We had such a great time at the symposium earlier this year in April, and we thought that this would be a good time to just have a few more conversations with our board members, so that our CMT members as well as non-members are just slightly more aware, more informed about the people that are at the helm of the CMT Association taking it forward.
Sounds good to me. Although April feels like a
Great.
very long time ago, considering the turmoil that we've been through for the last few months. I'll take your word
It
for it.
does.
That was just April.
Absolutely, that's so true. But yes. Okay, so this is one of my most favorite questions to ask anybody who's a part of this industry. Did technical analysis happen to you, or did you happen to technical analysis? How did that work out?
Oh, that's a great question. Technical analysis definitely happened to me without a doubt. Flashback to when I first got interested and engaged in technical analysis, I was actually an economist trying to forecast oil prices. As you might imagine, in 2004 to 2006, oil prices were surging. We were struggling to forecast that oil price gain just based on the dynamics of supply and demand. At the same time, other economists were struggling to forecast the 10-year Treasury bond. I recall at that time, everyone thought the 10-year Treasury would be a much higher level of yield given the dynamics of growth, and no one can use an econometric or virtually any model to explain what was going on with pricing. So I started to, think through what could possibly be missing here and stumbled upon technical analysis. So it really pushed its way to me through necessity, and has been a critical part of my work as I've moved into equity strategy over the last couple of decades.
Wow, that's quite a story there. Okay, so when your association with the board has just begun, but of course, since you've been a part of the CMT member group for such a long time, what is the role that the association has played in your career so far?
Yeah, it's been a wonderful part of my career. Frankly, I look forward to the summits every year. I get engaged with the local chapters in New York relatively frequently. What I find is the other CMTs just generally have a perspective that is very similar to mine, are always open to sharing their perspective on how they're integrating technical analysis in their work, always have a great passion for markets and generally what we do on the day to day. I think that unlike other disciplines, oftentimes the technicians really live and breathe market technicals, and it really shines through in the networking opportunities that we have in the association. On top of that, I did achieve the designation very early on in my career, and I continue to go back to some of those key principles on a day to day basis as I'm looking at the markets, I'm looking at trends, I'm looking at relative price trends for sectors and industries, for stocks, for regions, and I do a lot of intermarket analysis as well. So it's highly integrated in my work and certainly a key part of my lifestyle and my passion. And I think that most technicians generally feel the same.
Right. Absolutely. You actually answered my next question as to how you use technical analysis in your day-to-day routine. But moving forward, now that you're a part of the board of the CMT Association, what are your goals for the association going
Yeah.
forward?
I think my biggest goal for the association is really just to spread the impact, spread the word, spread the impact, just champion the organization and the discipline in our industry at large as kind of a critical part of success or achieving success in investing. I do fundamentally believe that if you're ignoring technicals, you're most definitely missing something in the broader market. You're missing a lot of opportunities. You're missing idealized entry points and exit points. You're missing an opportunity to get a deeper level of understanding as to what the market is telling you. And frankly, the market knows best. So I want to spread the word more than anything else. Continue to promote the designation, improve diversity across designation holders, attract more candidates into the CMT program and into the association at large, because I think we add a tremendous amount of value to a person's career path, and I think it's worth investing some time in.
Absolutely agree with that. When you speak about spreading the message about the course, about the association in general, with the trends building in social media, do you feel like that supports the same cause? Do you feel like there's better awareness today because of people being present on social media, from analysts to hedge fund managers to just the people who are starting out, their journeys in technical analysis? Do you
Yeah.
think that social media has helped build something there where the foundation has been laid there?
Oh, I definitely think so. I think that social media enables us to all to be more connected, to seek out relationships, to seek out information in a much faster, much more connected way than we ever have in the past. So I do think we'll all continue to invest more time in social media to reach out to more potential CMTs, more potential members of the CMT Association. And I would encourage all CMTs to do the same, all members of the association, to network more with folks of similar aptitudes, similar interests across the world. And social media is just a natural avenue to do so.
Right. Absolutely. Over the past few years, I know that you also use fundamental analysis as part of your major when you're analyzing the market. You look at technicals, you look at fundamentals, you look at quants. So I know that you use fundamental analysis in your process as well. Do you think that there's been a greater acceptance of the concept of fusion analysis over the past few years, where you use both technical and fundamental analysis?
I do think there's been greater acceptance. And I think one of the reasons for that greater degree of acceptance is the integration of quantitative concepts. One of the really intriguing parts of quantitative analysis is that quants actually define momentum and use momentum very heavily in their work. And all of us know that momentum is actually a technical concept. But as quants are proving that technical analysis via price momentum is truly efficacious to designing a portfolio and providing a superior risk adjusted return, then more fundamental analysts are naturally pulled into considering a broader subset of factors when they think about customizing their portfolio or setting their portfolio. So I do think that we've seen some improvement, and I would say that the primary source of that improvement is actually we're starting to quantify the impact of technicals. So it's very fulfilling for me to see, because I've always had, an approach that tries to fuse as much information as I could in our work, and I'm pretty excited to see the advancement continue.
That's amazing. Gina, when you're doing your analysis in your day-to-day routine, is there any specific indicator or study of technical analysis which you hadn't given too much thought to when you started out, but which has grown to become a much more important aspect of your analysis today?
Oh, wow, that's such a great question. I don't know if I can answer that one on the fly. I would say that what we do is try to get as many different indicators that are relevant into our process as possible. More recently, I've been working hard to try to quantify a geopolitical sort of premium, or geopolitical alpha, if you will, in some of our work. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through observation of price fundamentals in
Mhm.
itself. But we take price is always very important to us to follow. We watch price very carefully. I love to use momentum and breadth indicators as well. I'd say one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in this business over the last several years is that market lows are always formed based on sentiment. So the more we can integrate sentiment and technical analysis of price trends as a measure of sentiment into our work, the better off we've been at finding those low points to add value. And a lot of that sentiment is formed through breadth measures. So I think we're constantly in a learning process. We're constantly integrating more indicators as we find them to be useful. And I'm constantly looking for ways to apply technical analysis to assessing the market trend in any way that I can, in any way that's relevant.
That's awesome. Do you feel that in the past few years, I mean, you started out your journey with the CMT Association, completed your charter pretty early in your career, but do you feel like there's been more participation coming through from women in the field of financial services since you started out?
I do. I do see a very big change since I started in terms of participation, but also longevity of women in their careers in financial services. I think we still have a tremendous amount of improvement that needs to be made to keep women in the workforce. I think we're doing a great job of attracting women into the industry, and we should continue to work toward that. But I also think that where we have more upside is keeping women in the business, keeping women engaged, keeping them involved. It's one of the areas I'd like to continue to focus on specifically as in my role as a board member is improving the diversity of the association membership, continuing to attract women to the designation, and showing women the value of participating in the overall association.
Right. To me, you are a big inspiration. So I'm hoping that there are many more people who line up and who identify with you, with your journey, and with where you're headed. So thank you so much, Gina. Just one last question for you. For the new, when we have new members and new charter holders that are, I mean, every single year, every 6 months, we have new people joining the association. What would be your advice to those starting out in the field of technical analysis and those starting their careers right now?
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, my number one piece of advice to any new graduate, no matter where they're going, is to be open to exploration, be open to change, be open to relationship development, be open to learning from the people around you. I think that networking is incredibly important to kind of understanding the field, but also understanding the opportunities in front of you. And you just never know where you're going to go. I think we're very driven naturally, particularly those of us who are in finance are very driven and very goal oriented. But ultimately, what I've found is where I thought I'd go. And sometimes there are a lot of pivots in life, and oftentimes those pivots are most fulfilling, most interesting. So my very basic advice to anyone coming into the field is be open to the opportunities that may come your way because you never know where they'll take you.
Yeah, right. It took you towards technical analysis, so it could take
Right.
others there too.
Exactly. I did not think by any stretch of the imagination coming out of my university degree, did I think that I would go become a technician. I went directly to the CFA, just like my traditional industry told me to do. And ultimately, as you pointed out, the technician's designation came to me.
That is so great to hear. This was such a great chat, Gina. I've learned so much about your journey, about your contribution to the entire field. Thank you so much for speaking to us and taking some time out. And we're really looking forward to meeting you in person again in November at the APAC Summit.
Thank you so much. I can't wait.